it going, everybody? It's been a few days since I've been in the shop. Been working quite a bit. I had 2 houses that I was trying to finish up. And I actually kind of took a digger the other day. It was early Sunday morning. I'd woke up, didn't want to turn any lights on and wake Allie up, so I headed to go downstairs, and at the top of my stairs, somehow I just caught the edge of the top stair tread in the hallway at the top of the stairs, and I went down the stairs and I landed on my back. And I've had 2 previous back injuries where I fractured 2 vertebrae each time, and it's right at the same location as I had injured my back years ago. So kind of hurting, feeling a little lazy kind of in regards to the garage, so I wanted to come out to the garage and maybe try to do a few things. So I'm going to see how long this lasts. I definitely seem to be going at a little bit slower of a pace. I can't really get full deep breaths in at the moment, so I kind of have like a labored breathing, so to speak, but I know I'll be okay. There's nothing they could really do for this particular injury besides put me in a very uncomfortable brace, and I had one years ago and I got rid of it, so I never wanted to wear it again, even though I never really planned on injuring my back again. But unfortunately that it just happens. So came out to the garage. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna squeaky, I'm gonna work on removing the rest of the paint on the top portion of the firewall. I want to fill in these smaller holes, and then also the hole where the old master cylinder was, where Brad, I don't think Brad did it, but I think that's where George Ryan had the master cylinder installed. I want to fill that because I'm going to be running my pedal assembly underneath the floor, so I won't be needing that. And I guess that's kind of really it for the moment. At the moment, I just want to get that done, kind of see how I'm feeling after that, see if, you know, if my back's okay, then I'll just keep making progress and move forwards. I have clecos that are sticking out the front of the firewall from in the back that I want to remove because they're going to cut into my sanding discs. Alright, what I'm going to do next is take this carbide deburring bit and I'm just going to go around. There are a lot of holes. There are a ton. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There are 30 holes in the top portion of this firewall that I'm probably going to end up filling. So I'm going to go around and start. A lot of them are smaller and I'll be able to fill them with weld, but you know, these ones here, well, I can't fill them all because I got to run hoses and wires through some of them, but I'm at least going to fill, I know I'm going to fill the holes from the master cylinder, which are these 4 smaller holes and then this hole. I'm going to look at some stock, some original 34 firewalls and figure out which ones. I feel like these ones up top probably had some type of a seal. Well, I know 2 of them are for, I know a few of them are for the firewall, for the radiator support rods. I don't know which ones those are. I feel like it's these here. One of these. But again, I'll look at some photos online and figure out which ones I need to retain. I feel like these ones up here that are just tucked up underneath the front edge of the cowl are there for a reason. So I'm going to leave those for now. But again, I'm going to focus on this large one, and I'm going to leave these 3 for now because I feel like I'll need a few of them for wire for the distributor. I'll need fuel pressure regulator. I'm going to have a couple gauges in my firewall, so I won't need it there. But in any event, I'm going to get this cleaned up. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to work on is to get some of these smaller holes filled that I don't think I'm going to need. Get my air out so I'm not overheating the metal. I'm not going to weld any of these lower ones. All these holes were there. Originally there was a piece of 3/4 inch square stock behind this top piece of firewall that was on the car. When I got the car, there was a piece of and it was riveted. There was that square stock and this was riveted to it just to keep it from flapping around, I suppose. I removed that in order to install the lower portion of the firewall. So that's what all these original holes were from rivets. Can't weld any of those yet because that's going to be what I'm going to do when I'm getting ready to weld it permanently, weld the firewall in permanently. So what I'm going to work on is, like I said before a few minutes ago, some of these smaller holes that I don't think I'm going to end up needing. I'm going to grab my other 34 car firewall and figure out which holes I need for the hood rods. I mean, I'm sorry, not for the hood rods, for the radiator support. I just did a Google search of 34-foot firewalls. Oops, sorry about that. And what I come up with is there are 2 holes on the top of the firewall, on the top of the cowl, and then there's a hole directly in the center of those. I'm just going to circle it real quick so you can see there. And then if you look on the other side, somebody already filled it in. So at some point in time over the course of the lifetime of this hot rod, someone filled in that hole with weld, or there's a bolt in it. I think it's weld. I'm going to end up having to drill out this hole, or that bolt, or whatever it was there, because that lines up right in the center. So basically, that being said, all these other holes on the firewall can get filled in. So I'm going to start working on that now, picking away. Like I said, I don't want to add a ton of heat to the firewall, and it shouldn't be too bad if I bounce around and I got my air. So I'm going to leave these 3 larger ones, like I said, in case I need to route something through those, plumbing, wiring, whatever. And I'll check that off the list. Alright, so now I need to make a template for get the camera set up here. I need to now make a template for this hole. Need to make a template now for this hole here from the master cylinder. So get out my handy dandy scissors and paper. And I'll make a mark. Alright. Kind of see that. I think this goes down here, but yeah, you can see the crease from the body line. So I'm going to cut this out. Well, I thought I was filming, but apparently I wasn't. So I'm snipping this little filler, trying to get it shaped the closest I can so I can get it welded in the firewall. So I think you can kind of see how much more I have to trim it down. Not a whole lot. Let's get that trimmed down and get this welded in. Yeah, it's a little too thick to do it just by hand. Hit this real quick and then try it again. Alright, let's try it again. I'm going to grab a magnet this time. Just a little scribe. Well, I'll be damned. That looks good to me. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna put another magnet on it. I'm gonna weld this from the back side. Be less grinding. Kind of dips in for some reason when I put the magnet there. There we go. Alright. I'm going to hit that with a flat disc real quick on the back to make sure it's all nice and clean so I can get a good weld. And get it welded up. Alright, I'm gonna get these cleaned up. These welds kind of ground down a little bit. And see what I'm left with. Figure out if I have to do any more. I don't think I will, but you never know. I'll turn this light off, save the battery. Well, you guys can see what I got done. I got the whole top portion of the firewall filled. I'm happy with it. I left those holes that are in there on purpose. Just in the event I'm going to need them for, like I said earlier, plumbing, some, you know, whether it's hoses, tubes, wiring. You can still kind of see the remnants of the hole that's here, right here. But that's fine. It's going to get a skim coat of mud on it anyways. So, I feel pretty confident that I can move past the firewall at this point, and I'm happy about that. So, next is going to be the pedal assembly. So what I need to do for the pedal assembly is, so I realized what I didn't have that I needed for my pedal assembly was the post that the clutch arm rides on. It's the pivot, the pivot for the clutch arm, and then also a throw-out bearing. So I want to be able to center the clutch arm on the input shaft of the transmission to make sure I know it's exactly where it's going to be, so then I can line up my pedal assembly and build some type of a bell crank. So in order to get the pedal assembly exactly where it needs to be, I need to have the clutch arm exactly where it's going to be. So that being said, I'll have to pull the motor and trans, which is no problem, shouldn't take only but a few minutes. The only downfall to that is I need to remove my radiator, and I only have it tacked on those two tabs that I built on front of the front cross member. So the next step is going to be to finalize that mount for the radiator and then cut those tack welds and have it bolted on. So then I'll be able to remove it and then install it again once the motor comes out and goes back in and all that other jazz. So that's going to be my next step, is to jump back on the radiator and get those two tabs that I welded onto the outer trim of the radiator. I'll get those through bolted, so it's going to be 4 bolts going in the front of the cross member. And then coming off the front frame rails, I'm going to have the tabs drop down and then come down inwards at a 90-degree angle, and then I'll be able to bolt the radiator on those also. So I'll have 4 mounting points for the radiator, not including the rods that go back to the firewall. Oh, that being said, I got one more thing on the firewall to do, and that is to punch out that rivet that's left in the firewall. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then so I'm going to go hang out with my girl and maybe dance the night away. Really don't want to. I'm going to try to hit it from the inside first. I don't want to pound on this firewall and dent it in effort to remove that. So I'm going to try from the inside first with this chisel. Alright, let's see. It should come right out, I think. There we go. Alright, so that is the mounting hole for the prop rod for the radiator support, or the mount for the radiator rod, support rod. It clips inside from the side, and it would normally rivet the top and the bottom, or maybe it's not a rivet, maybe there's little bolts or something, we'll see. I'll most likely just bolt it in the event for whatever reason I ever have to remove it, because I don't own rivets for it. So yeah, so that's it. I'm happy with it. I like it. I think it looks good, and that finishes off the top portion of the firewall. So now I can check that off the list. And when I say list, I never actually have a list. It's all just walking in the garage, looking at what needs to be done, and just doing it. Alright everyone, thanks again. Appreciate you guys watching. I hope you enjoyed my last 2 videos. I certainly did. I had fun making them. I want to again say thank you to Jeff, Bob's son, who was just a great guy to deal with. He was very welcoming to welcome me into his house and home to look at old photos of his dad and his car and his family members. Thanks again, everybody. I appreciate you watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble on, and just following along with this craziness I call hot rodding. So we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.